Chapter 634. This is Grandma. Xia Yun tried to break the atmosphere of this stalemate. She waved Qi's little hand and taught Chou and Shen Fangqi how to greet each other. Hu Liancheng suddenly put Qi in Jian Yun's arms. He lowered his head and said in a muffled voice, "I will go out for a while." Xian Yun looked at Hu Liancheng's back and felt inexplicably uncomfortable. Cheng Mu's also looked at Hu Liancheng's back and could not help sighing in his heart. He had been with Hu Liancheng for the longest time, so he understood the feeling of Hu Liancheng's desire for motherly love the most. He still remembered when he was young, when Hu Liancheng saw him with his mother. That envious look. Shen Fangqi saw Hu Liancheng leave, and her eyes flashed with loneliness and disappointment. But perhaps she was already used to his coldness. She wiped her eyes with one of her remaining hands and thought of something. She then raised her head and looked at Che with eagerness, and said to Jian Yun, Can I touch him?" Shen Fangqi said, "Touch instead of hug." Presumably, she also knew that she only had one hand left and was unable to carry Qi. Or perhaps she understood that this request to hug Qi was now a luxury to her. Jian Yun walked over and placed Qi into Shen Fangqi's embrace. Shen Fangqi originally only wanted to reach out and touch Qi's small hand. This way, she seemed to be overwhelmed by favor. Her body suddenly shook and she quickly raised her head to look at Jian Yun. This is Grandma. Call her Grandma. Xian Yun carefully dragged Chou. She was afraid that Shen Fangqi's hand would not be convenient. She had never seen Shen Fangqi before. At this moment, a pair of big black round eyes were staring at Shen Fangqi's face. Her small mouth was gurgling like she was talking. She was not afraid at all when she saw Shen Fangqi's ruined face. This child? Is he calling Daddy? Shen Fangqi was very excited in her heart. Her only remaining hand was shaking, but she could not bear to let go of Chou's small and soft body. "Qi, call her Grandma." Jian Yun poked Chou's chubby little face. Although she knew Qi did not understand and could not call him out, she felt that if she did not find something to say, this atmosphere would make her unable to hold on. Qi grinned. He thought his mother was playing with him. He reached out to grab Jian Yun's fingers and danced happily. Shen Fangqi greedily looked at Chou's pretty face, and her eyes were misty with tears. This child looks exactly the same as Liancheng when he was young. She was clearly smiling, but tears rolled down her face. Halfway through her words, she stopped when she saw Hu Liancheng push the door open and enter. Xia Yun also turned her head to look at Hu Liancheng. She saw that his expression was calm, and there was not a single ripple on his face. He walked straight over. When Chu saw Hu Liancheng, he reached out his hand to hug him. Hu Liancheng looked at Shen Fangqi, but did not hug Chu. She felt a little sad and immediately howled. Jian Yun hurriedly carried Shui. She could tell that Hu Liancheng had something to say to Shen Fangqi, so she said, "I will go out for a while." Cheng Mu's followed Jian Yun out. He saw Jian Yun's worried face and comforted her. "Don't worry, they will not fight." Xia Yun was not worried that Hu Liancheng would fight with Shen Fangqi. She could not tell what she was worried about, but she felt uneasy. "Call me Uncle." Cheng Mu's liked Qi very much. He reached out to hug Chu, but Chu turned his head and hid away. Cheng Mu's face fell. This kid still recognizes people. Ha ha. Jian Yun looked at the look of disdain on Chou's face and could not help but laugh. Cheng Mu's and Jian Yun chatted for less than 3 minutes before Hu Liancheng came out. Jian Yun immediately went to see his expression, but Hu Liancheng's expression was very normal. Seeing Jian Yun look over, he even smiled at her. "Done?" Cheng Mu's also raised his eyebrows. He seemed to think that Hu Liancheng was chatting too quickly. "Yes." Hu Liancheng did not say much. He only pinched Jian Yun's hand. "Take Qi in and let her see." Jian Yun nodded and then turned around. She walked to the door and found Hu Liancheng did not follow her. She could not help but look back and saw Hu Liancheng asking Cheng Mu's for a cigarette. He was standing at the window, lighting it. Jian Yun was still waiting for delivery at the Green Lake. Because she said that smoking was not good, Hu Liancheng gave up smoking. Usually, unless he encountered something difficult or was in a bad mood, he would light a cigarette. So today, he wanted to smoke as soon as he came out of the ward. What did he and Shen Fangqi talk about that made his mood so bad? Xian Yun did not have much time to think about it. The policewoman had already pushed open the door of the ward for her. "Thank you." Xian Yun carried the child and entered the room. She found Shen Fangqi by the door. She seemed to be in a daze. "Mrs. Hu?" Xian Yun softly called out. Shen Fangqi raised her head and looked over. Because Jian Yun called her Mrs. Hu, something seemed to flash in her eyes, but it was fleeting. A bitter smile appeared on the corner of her mouth. She understood that this girl still had a grudge against her. Back then, when she humiliated her so much, Jian Yun could not bear it, and even persuaded Hu Liancheng to bring the child to see her. It was already generous enough. It was just that even though Shen Fangqi had fallen to this stage, and even though she had long regretted it in her heart, she had been proud of it all her life. She could not possibly admit her mistakes to Jian Yun. So at this moment, she only nodded and reached out her hand to give Jian Yun an exquisite box. I do not have anything now. This is a long lifelock. It was prepared by me when Liancheng was born. But due to various reasons, I will give it to Chu now. Xian Yun's heart shook. The thing that she gave to Hu Liancheng back then had already been more than 30 years and Shen Fangqi still carried it with her. But Jian Yun only thought about it in her heart. She took the box and expressed her thanks. Then, she opened it and raised her brows. This long lifelock was actually so exquisite. So many years had passed, but it was still as shiny as new. This could only mean one thing. Someone often wiped and cleaned it. Xian Yun raised her head and quickly looked at Shen Fangqi. Her mind spun 1,000 times. She took out the lock and put it on for show. She only smiled. It looks really good. Shen Fangqi looked at Qi put on the long lifelock. Her eyes were empty for some reason. When they came out of the hospital and returned to the car, other than Qi who was holding the lock and babbling, none of them spoke. All the way until they returned home, Hu Liancheng was silent. When they were in the car, he stared at the piece of lock for a long time. Jian Yun knew that he was in a bad mood and did not bother him. After Qi went to sleep, she took off the lock and handed it to Hu Liancheng, telling him what Shen Fangqi said. Hu Liancheng held the lock in his hand and kept silent. This situation continued until night. Before he went to sleep, Hu Liancheng hugged Jian Yun and said in a muffled voice, "Duo. She wants me to let Hu Chengfeng go. Tell me, what should I do?" Xian Yun's heart jumped when she heard this. She knew that Hu Chengfeng was not dead yet. Half of his body was badly mutilated and his entire body was badly burned. Everyone thought that he would not live until the new year. Who would have thought that his life was so big that he was still alive and well? Of course this was good, but compared to normal people, it was better. Hu Chengfeng was just a piece of trash, who could only lie on the bed and live on instruments. What do you mean? You want to let Hu Chengfeng go? Xian Yun asked. No. Hu Liancheng frowned, as if he did not know what to say. The words Shen Fangqi said to him in the ward seemed to appear in front of his eyes again. She said that the person she felt the most guilty about in her life was Hu Chengfeng. She wanted to make up for him, so she indulged him. At first, she knew that she could not do this, but as long as Hu Chengfeng got angry at her and said those heartless words, she did not know what to do. Later on, even she herself could not tell whether she was right or wrong. She had been eaten by Hu Chengfeng for a long time. But after so many things, she finally understood that what she did was actually destroying Hu Chengfeng. She said that she now regretted being so cold to him. At that time, she only thought that this would prevent Hu Chengfeng from losing control of his emotions and hurting her other child. She did not expect that this would also hurt Hu Liancheng and Hu Qingcheng. Do you think I should let Hu Chengfeng go? Hu Liancheng leaned on Jian Yun's shoulder and asked in a muffled voice. Jian Yun could not answer him. At this moment, she could roughly guess what Shen Fangqi meant, but she could not be sure. Her heart was beating wildly because of this bold guess. Hu Liancheng seemed to see through Jian Yun's thoughts. The corner of his mouth curled into an illusory smile and did not make Jian Yun answer this difficult question. Go to sleep. Hu Liancheng gently rubbed Jian Yun's hair. Jian Yun lay down for a while and found that Hu Liancheng had woken up again. He opened the door to the balcony and walked out. In the darkness, she could see the extinguished cigarette butt. Half an hour later, Hu Liancheng returned. His body carried an extremely deep night and cold air. There was also a strong smell of tobacco. Xian Yun did not sleep and had been waiting for Hu Liancheng. However, she did not say anything to disturb Hu Liancheng. She knew that he was definitely in a bad mood at this moment. She saw Hu Liancheng come out of the washroom. He had just laid down, but he got up again. He seemed to be hesitating when he took the phone. After a moment, he seemed to have made up his mind. He got up again. This time, he went out of the room. Jian Yun waited on the bed for a long time with her eyes open. She did not wait for Hu Liancheng to come back. Later on, she was so sleepy that she did not even know when she was sleeping. When she woke up again, Jian Yun found herself lying in Hu Liancheng's arms. The window was already slightly bright. In 1 or 2 hours, the sun would come out. Hu Liancheng did not sleep deeply. When Jian Yun moved, he woke up. His handsome face was covered with shadows, as if he had just laid down not long ago. His body still carried a cool air. What time is it? Jian Yun touched Hu Liancheng's forehead. 5:30. Let's sleep for a while. Hu Liancheng's voice was a little hoarse. Okay. Jian Yun nodded and obediently hid in Hu Liancheng's arms. She could tell that he was in a bad mood, so she did not ask. After being confused for a while, Jian Yun felt Hu Liancheng quietly get up. She opened her eyes, and Hu Liancheng turned back to look at her, and said gently, "These few days, I might have to go on a business trip. If you are in a hurry at home, why don't you go to King Hu for a few days?" Jian Yun's brows furrowed without batting an eyelid. Was he going to send her away? Okay. Jian Yun rolled her eyes but did not object. After asking Professor Yu for a few days' leave, Jian Yun brought Qi back to her mother's house on the same day. The school she, Monica, and Feiang Jianran collaborated to set up was in full swing. As the school director, she had not been there many times since the start of school. Jian Yun took this opportunity to fulfill her duties. It was just that, although Jian Yun was in Green Lake, she was a little absent-minded. She remembered Hu Liancheng's side and did not know if he had made a decision or not. Jian Yun only applied for 3 days' leave, so she went back to Imperial on Wednesday night. When she got off the plane with Che in her arms, she saw Cheng Mu's waiting for her at the parking lot. Jian Yun could not help being very surprised. "Why are you here to pick me up?" "Where is Liancheng?" "He's in the hospital." "Don't be nervous. It's not that fourth brother is sick." As soon as Cheng Mu's finished speaking, he saw Jian Yun's expression change. He immediately waved his hand. "It's Hu Chengfeng who is sick." Jian Yun was relieved. Recently, Hu Liancheng had been running to the hospital. At first glance, it sounded really scary. "Get in the car, Sister Jian. Hu Chengfeng wants to see you." Cheng Mu's opened the car door for Jian Yun. "Hu Chengfeng wants to see me?" Jian Yun bent her back and was surprised. "Why does he want to see me?" "You'll know when you get there." Cheng Mu shrugged, as if he did not want to say more. Jian Yun frowned. She did not like Hu Chengfeng, but she remembered Hu Liancheng was there too. She did not object and sat in the car. "I'll take Qi home first." Jian Yun thought about it and said, "Take him with you." Cheng Mu's tone was a bit sympathetic. "Hu Chengfeng asked to see you too." Jian Yun's heart skipped a beat. Could it be? At that time, the hospital was heavily guarded and the ward was full of policemen. This was where Hu Chengfeng was detained. Because of the explosion at that time, Hu Chengfeng was seriously injured, and it took him a long time to save his life in the hospital. However, because Hu Chengfeng's injuries were too severe, he had been in the ICU all this time. That was why he had yet to start his case. Originally, the doctors had given him a critical notice, saying that Hu Chengfeng might not be able to survive, but who knew that Hu Chengfeng's life was so tough that he could survive until now. However, only those who knew the inside story knew that the reason Hu Chengfeng could survive was because Hu Liancheng did not let him die. Hu Liancheng had the doctor use all means to maintain Hu Chengfeng's life, because death was a relief to the current Hu Chengfeng. However, to Hu Liancheng, the person he loved the most was almost killed by Hu Chengfeng. If he let Hu Chengfeng die just like that, it would be hard to dispel the hatred in his heart. Jian Yun came over with Che in her arms. As soon as she stepped out of the elevator, she saw Hu Liancheng standing in the corner and smoking. When she saw him, he quickly stubbed out the cigarette butt on the rubbish bin and walked over to greet her. Hu Liancheng took Chu and looked at Jian Yun. "Are you tired?" Jian Yun shook her head. Her eyes fell on the dozens of policemen and doctors in the corridor. She asked, "What's going on? Why are there so many people here?" Hu Liancheng lowered his eyes and said, "Let's go in first." Jian Yun pulled Hu Liancheng back. She was a little nervous. "Why does Hu Chengfeng want to see me?" Hu Liancheng did not say anything, but Cheng Mu said, "Maybe he wants to go to his deathbed confession." Jian Yun's heart was beating fast. She opened her eyes wide and looked at Hu Liancheng. Sure enough, she saw that his eyes were full of coldness and gloominess. "Let's go." Hu Liancheng lowered his head and met his son's big black eyes. His heart felt a little sour for some reason. The few of them entered the ward. Jian Yun saw Shen Fangqi was also there and did not show her face for a long time. Hu Xiangqian, who hadn't attended her wedding with Hu Liancheng, had rushed back from Switzerland. Old Master Hu, Granny Liao, and almost all the important relatives of Hu family had come. Other than that, there was also a man Jian Yun didn't know. That man was thin and looked like he was in his 50s or 60s. He had a sickly look on his face, but his temperament was very refined. Jian Yun could guess at a glance that this man was Shen Fangqi's ex-husband, Hu Chengfeng's father. Her eyelids jumped. They were all here. Jian Yun remembered what Cheng Mu said outside the ward, and her heart started beating fast again. These people were standing in 2s and 3s. Some of them looked sad. For example, Old Master Hu and Hu Chengfeng's father. Some of them looked cold and detached. For example, Granny Liao. In short, everyone had different expressions on their faces. There was a strange atmosphere in the ward. When everyone saw Hu Liancheng bring Jian Yun in, they all made way for Hu Chengfeng, who was lying on the bed. When they saw each other at the top of the mountain, it was Jian Yun's first time seeing Hu Chengfeng. She had only heard from others that Hu Chengfeng was seriously injured, but she did not expect to see such a person whose original appearance could not be seen at all. She saw the person on the hospital bed. He looked withered, and his face was almost burnt. Perhaps because he was afraid of scaring her, the lower half of Hu Chengfeng's face was wrapped with gauze, only revealing a pair of eyes. However, this pair of eyes, which had once shone brightly, were now turbid. It was May, and the weather was getting hot, but Hu Chengfeng was covered by a thick blanket, and there was a heater on in the ward. Jian Yun was sweating when she came in. Jian Yun had heard Cheng Mu's mention this before. He said that Hu Chengfeng's body function had deteriorated, and there was a problem with his body temperature regulating function, so he had to stay at a constant temperature. Even so, it did not work. Jian Yun looked at Hu Chengfeng's hand that was placed by the bed. There was a trace of fear in her eyes, and then she quickly looked away. Because what she saw could no longer be called a hand. It was charred black, like charcoal, and curled up like chicken claws. It was very terrifying. Jian Yun really could not help sighing in her heart. If Hu Chengfeng did not do something bad, he would not end up like this. Jian Yun, you came. Seeing Jian Yun, a light flashed in Hu Chengfeng's cloudy eyes. Jian Yun frowned and looked at Hu Liansheng with a puzzled look. She did not think that she had such a deep relationship with Hu Chengfeng, that he used such a familiar tone to talk to her. I want to talk to Jian Yun alone. Hu Chengfeng looked at Jian Yun greedily. The others did not have any objections. They all turned around and walked out of the ward. Jian Yun was very nervous. She was subconsciously afraid of Hu Chengfeng. She reached out and grabbed Hu Liansheng's sleeve. Hu Liancheng held Jian Yun's hand and comforted her. Don't be afraid. I will be outside. Jian Yun saw sadness in Hu Liancheng's eyes and a trace of well-concealed begging. She was stunned. Didn't Hu Liancheng hate Hu Chengfeng very much? Why did he look so sad at the moment? Don't be nervous. I've already become like this. Can I still hurt you? Hu Chengfeng's voice was hoarse and weak. He said those words with a hint of self-mockery. Jian Yun turned back to look at him. She saw the death energy in Hu Chengfeng's eyes. Hu Liancheng patted Jian Yun's hand and walked out of the ward. However, he did not close the door. There was a small gap in the door. Jian Yun could see Hu Liancheng's back through the gap in the door and felt a little relieved. Can you get closer? Hu Chengfeng tried to pull the corner of his mouth as if he wanted to smile, but this action was already a luxury for him. Jian Yun thought about what Hu Liancheng said and took a few steps forward. Sit down. Hu Chengfeng was lying on the bed and could not move at all. He could only express his feelings through his eyes. Jian Yun obeyed and sat down. At this moment, she was also very curious about what Hu Chengfeng wanted her to say when he left her alone. Are you very curious about what I want to tell you? Hu Chengfeng saw through Jian Yun's thoughts and blinked his eyes. Jian Yun frowned at him and did not deny it. Actually, I want to apologize to you. I tried to sow discord between you and Hu Liancheng. I even captured you and forced you to do something you don't want to do. I want you to forgive me, Hu Chengfeng said in a low voice. Jian Yun frowned even more tightly. She looked as if she didn't believe what Hu Chengfeng said. I know you don't believe me. I am the only one who is dying. Do you believe that I will not lie to you? Hu Liancheng closed his eyes. He seemed to be very tired from saying these words. Do you know that I have always admired Hu Liancheng? I did not see it. I only saw that you were jealous of him and hated him. Jian Yun was not polite at all. How can you be so direct? Hu Chengfeng was not angry. He opened his eyes and looked at Jian Yun. There was a hint of admiration in his eyes. He then said, I am jealous of him and also envy him because he can do better than me. No, he is better than everyone else. He has been doing this since he was young. Hu Chengfeng's eyes flashed. When I was young, I knew that my mom abandoned me and found a man richer than Dad. I did not know about Dad's relationship with that place. I only knew that Dad was not capable. Dad was not in good health and often drank. I was afraid of him. I did not want to communicate with outsiders. They said I was autistic. Many people laughed at me. Xiaoyan did not expect Hu Chengfeng to tell her this. She was surprised, but she still listened carefully. I was too young at that time, and I don't remember many things. I only knew that I didn't dare to leave my house until I was 10 years old and didn't dare to talk to people outside. At that time, Mom had already come back to take care of me. But I know that other than me, there are 2 other children. I hate them so much. Jian Yun heard Hu Chengfeng's words and felt inexplicably sad. His words were not as fluent as before and his expression was somewhat inverted. But it could still be said clearly. But when he talked about the bitter past, his tone was still stiff, as if he was talking about other people's matters. I really envy him. I know that my mother is only so good to me because of guilt. In fact, she loves her other son more, so I started to crazily want to destroy him and destroy everything. I feel that no one else can get what I can't get. So I started to overcome my own fear. Slowly, I started to implement my plans step by step. I hate my mother. I feel that the reason why I was ridiculed and neglected is because she abandoned me. So I tried everything I could to make her feel ashamed of me, and then use her. Hu Chengfeng's voice became increasingly hoarse as he spoke. In the end, he almost could not make a sound. Xiaoyan Yun saw that there was a straw cup on the bedside table and quickly got up to give it to him to drink. Hu Chengfeng waved his hand. I can't drink water. Why can't I drink water? He did not mention it. He closed his eyes and rested for a while. Hu Chengfeng continued to talk. This time, his tone was much calmer. Jian Yun heard his words, but could not calm down for a long time. Because Hu Chengfeng said that he had a devil in his heart, a devil that was born the moment he was abandoned by his mother. He was controlled by that devil and could not make the decision himself. This reminded Jian Yun of Hu Liangcheng telling her that Hu Chengfeng had schizophrenia. She could not help but look at Hu Chengfeng with a hint of pity. Do you always think I'm a pervert? Hu Chengfeng suddenly asked Jian Yun. Xiaoyan Yun looked at him and kept quiet. Hu Chengfeng laughed indeed. What I did was really abnormal. Xian Yun kept quiet because she did not know what to say. Hu Chengfeng was also silent, as if he had fallen into some memory. His eyes changed drastically, as if he was in pain.